Hey everybody, Alex here and welcome to Momentum Charting. Today we are going to be getting into the chart of HMBL. Guys, just quickly about momentum charting, you are always going to get my 100% unique perspective on stocks and the markets. I never ever use my feelings or biases to predetermine my conclusions. I examine price action, I examine trends, I listen to the markets, I do not listen to the noise. So, if you have not yet done so, make sure to go down below, subscribe to the channel. That way you will ensure you do not miss a single update moving forward on HMBL. All your favorite stocks, broad markets, everything like that. I do it all on a daily basis. Subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much. Guys, quickly let's jump in here to the chart of HMBL and take a look and see what we can see. I am here on a daily time frame inside of TradingView, which is usually where I like to start my analysis to get a broad perspective on what I feel the underlying trend is. And to me, pretty clearly here on HMBL, the big time frame trend on a daily, we had this downward sloping overhead resistance that was in place since March and broke out of it towards the end of June. But now what we have happened here, 90 to 93, 94% of the time, guys, what happens when you break out of these zones of bearish alignment or zones of bullish alignment where you're breaking these important trend lines to the upside or the downside, what happens is you break to the outside and you start forming a channel where in fact the price of a stock will then make a decision on what it wants to do next. And that is exactly what has happened here in HMBL over the last month and change. We broke this overhead downward sloping line of resistance, which is a good thing. That at least gives us a chance to start in a bullish formation of momentum. But unfortunately here, we are still inside of this channel. And not only that, it looks to me like there is some short-term bearishness inside of this channel still that's developing. You look here on the 125 EMA and the 200 moving average, both still poking to the downside here. 50 moving average also pushing to the downside. The alignment of the moving averages here still very bearish. Let's go in here and examine the shortest term time frames that I like to use to determine trend. And you guys can see here I've got this overhead, once again, line of overhead resistance coming in here from the price points of June 21st and then also June 23rd and 25th throughout the day, and coming down here and tagging again on August 9th. So we've got a sort of macro right now bearish picture coupled with a short-term bearish picture as well. You can see the alignment here of the dynamic trend still in a bearish formation. What we do need to have happen here, guys, and what I'm hoping happens on HMBL is that we do indeed hold prices here at around the 74 level, okay, at a maximum drawdown from these levels, and find a way to break to the outside of this downward overhead, downward sloping resistance, and find HMBL in a position where it can at least regain some facet of short-term upward momentum again, which would allow us to obviously have prices increase from these levels. And I really think it's important that we do not break below this 74 level, just because, going back to the daily chart here, I want to take a look at this because again, usually when you form these channels, when you break out of these zones of overhead resistance, you want to form the channel. And this one, you could almost argue that the top of this channel is more in this area here. I think I will move it down there just for now. But usually you can go back and you can pinpoint an area for the lowest part of the support channel. And if you do start breaking below those areas, you could be in for another bearish ride to the downside, more than what we've had here. Worst case to me, yeah, these are levels nobody likes to talk about, but we do have this dynamic trend support here in place at 34 cents. That would potentially be a target if we were to not be able to hold these levels at 74 cents. But I do indeed believe this is very, very, very important that we break out of this overhead downward sloping resistance, start chopping sideways here, and give HMBL the chance to start pushing to the upside and maybe break outside of some of this this big mess here of downward moving averages that is still suppressing prices on HMBL. So I want to hold this level here at 74 cents. Okay, very important. I want to break to the outside of this downward sloping resistance on the 30-minute time frame. So those are on our long-term charts what I'm looking at. Also, yeah, here on the dynamic RSI, this to me, these are definitely not great zones to be operating in. This right here, peaking at 42 and working off from a base of 29. This is definitely a neutral slash slow bleed bearish zone of RSI. So again, what I would like to have happen is for us to break above this area here at 42 at a minimum, okay, at a minimum, and start, let's get rid of some of these drawings here. What I would like to see happen is for us at a minimum to break above these zones here at 41 and start forming a base, an RSI base here, which would indeed give us a chance to start moving higher. If we start our RSI cycles, continue to start our RSI cycles in these zones, come up here to 50 and then break back down, again, back down to these levels in the 20s, all that's going to happen on HMBL is that's going to continue to suppress prices, and we do not want that to happen. So we want to form some sort of a base up here above 40 and plan our next level of attack to try to attack some of those trend lines that are pushing down HMBL, attack some of those moving averages, and start getting an increase in momentum of price to the upside on this stock that has been just badly beaten down over the past couple months. The last thing I wanted to show on this chart here, it would certainly be nice to me if we were able to start getting some of this volume. You see this excitement and volume that was happening towards the end of 2020, the end of last year. You had these nice big volume candles in here that sort of foretold what was getting ready to happen in the stock. And you guys can see here what's happening on this volume is just not at the same levels of excitement that was happening here, that was getting ready for this big push to the upside. This beautiful alignment of the 50 moving average, the 125, the 200, and then you have this volume coming in. And we'll go to our momentum indicator in a second, but to me right now this chart is just not looking the same, and we need to get things turned around here. Some positive volume coming in, breaking above this downward sloping resistance, breaking above some of these downward sloping moving averages in order to get HMBL in a positive alignment where we have the chance for this stock to start moving back to the upside. So lastly, guys, let's take a quick look here at the momentum chart, which we always like to do. And you can see here, guys, the dichotomy between the this momentum indicator back when prices were pumping back here late last year, operating in a positive zone. This is the zero line here. We started moving up. We had these nice series here of positive divergent bottoms, which was forcing prices higher. Here in, let's see, we had this nice breakout of this momentum here again on January 19th, 2021, and that got us to our big final push to the upside where prices peaked here right around February 16th. Let's see if that's yeah, February 11th. So our top momentum bubble was on the 16th, but our top price was actually February 8th. So it happened before that, but that was the last big push up in prices. But you guys can see here how this momentum has really been in a depressed zone. We've gotten these series of, instead of this nice positive divergences in the bullish zone of momentum, instead we're getting kind of these continued series of negative divergences, right, in this bearish zone, the zone here below zero. What I want to see here have happen on HMBL is for us to be able to, let me go down here. You can see how suppressed this is, and we're still kind of getting these series of lower lows and lower highs, and we do indeed need to break that. And a good place to start on that would be for us to break above this area of around negative 0.38, have this momentum break above this area and start working and putting in some structure, leading hopefully back up to this zero line where we can start getting some momentum in a positive direction and start to repair the technical damage that's been done to HMBL and start the repair process in this stock and get this momentum turned in a positive direction, and prices will be following shortly after that. So guys, that's it. That's the entirety of my analysis. Key takeaways: hold this level at 74, break that downward overhead line of resistance on the 30-minute chart right here, these areas here, and if we can do those two things, I believe that is going to set us up where we can indeed start moving to the upside once again in HMBL. So this next period right here between next week, the 16th, and the beginning of next month is going to be critical to me to see if we can break outside of this short-term bearish downtrend of momentum and start gaining some momentum back to the upside to repair the technical damage that's been caused in HMBL over the last few months. Guys, thank you so much for joining me on this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed the content, if you want to see more regular updates on HMBL, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Go down below, hit the subscribe, hit the bell notification. Doing both of those things will ensure you do not miss a single update on HMBL, as well as all your favorite stocks, broad stock market, everything in between. Guys, thank you so much for joining me on this channel. Thank you for watching. I will see everybody again shortly in the next HMBL update. Bye for now.